Life is hectic.
Some days are just a blur.
We're Jay and Laura LaFoon, and we help busy couples stay married for life.
Welcome to the Married for Life podcast.
One of the drums that we beat very heavily, very heartily, all the time is the phrase, get away and get ahead. The only way you're going to get ahead in your marriage is if you get away together as a couple. Doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be expensive, but you need to get away.
And that's what we did this weekend.
We practiced what we preached this weekend.
We actually have had a habit of getting away for our anniversary for a good long time in our marriage.
December 8th, 1984.
I don't know that that's when we went on a honeymoon, but I don't know that we then did a lot early on in our marriage as well as getting away and getting ahead. But probably 10 years in, we realized, you know what? We need to do something. That's because we had children by then. We need to do something, even if it's just for a day.
Right.
We knew we needed to do something. So we began this habit of getting away for our anniversary. In fact, the year our daughter was a senior in high school, we decided we weren't going to go and do that. And she found out about it and read us the riot act, didn't she, about not getting away and getting ahead. But this weekend, we went to Chicago, one of our favorite cities. We love New York City. It's just huge. Chicago's drivable, so we frequently will go to Chicago. And we love Chicago at the holidays especially.
Just down there for just a quick weekend. We drove down Friday and came back Sunday. But boy, we love Chicago at Christmas time because, well, we'll just be honest. It's just one of our favorite towns. And this year we took a light tour.
Friday night we did a light tour where you saw the lights of the city, and then you stop at this Christmas market. I know Christmas markets are really popular in Germany, and Chicago has one, and it was just really fun to just walk around and see all the little vendors and the gifts and stuff that they had. It was just great. Well, and we may or may not have got gifts for people. I don't know.
Well, and the thing too that I love about Chicago, I love the architecture. I'm a big architecture freak. I just love studying it and how did they build that, and with the lights, it just adds to that architectural flavor, that architectural flair.
Well, you got the Navy Pier, and you got down where the Bean is and the museum and stuff. That's always just a wonderful time.
But my job when we go to Chicago is to make sure that it's not 24/7 of shopping, that we're doing something. So the light tour we did, and then we also did something at one of my favorite stores. You're familiar with Cirque du Soleil?
It's not called Cirque du Soleil. It's called Sur La Table.
Cirque du Soleil
I
La
try
Table.
and not take him in there very much because he gets sidetracked.
Oh, I love it. But we did one of the things we've always wanted to do. We've never done it. We've been married 34 years and never done it. We took a cooking class together.
Yes, because we do love to cook together. And you go in these Williams and Sonomas and Sur La Tables, and you see people back there in their little kitchen cooking. And I'm like, I want to do that sometime. So we signed up for a Sur La Table cooking class. We did that on Saturday night. We grilled steaks with marsala and shallot pan sauce. We made gnocchi with brown butter sage sauce.
Is it gnocchi or is it gnocchi?
I think it's gnocchi.
I like saying gnocchi.
Well,
sounds
if
more
you
fun.
watch the Food Network, they say gnocchi, not
gnocchi is more fun to say.
Then there was sauteed spinach with lemon, garlic, and pine nuts, and finished off with a vanilla mascarpone panna cotta.
And we were finished by the time we ate all that.
It was, that was our anniversary dinner, and it was great. It was fun, and we got to have fun cooking, and it was just a great time for us to be together and to just celebrate not only the holidays, but to celebrate our anniversary and 34 years.
That's right. As Laura said, we both believed what we were saying when we stood at the altar. But even the till death do us part, but we just didn't realize it was going to take so long.
Whiz. But yes, so we enjoyed a great weekend. We hope you enjoyed your weekend. But today on the podcast, we want to be talking about making time for your marriage during this busy holiday season. But first, we have a shout out to a listener.
Yes, Dave is giving us a little shout here. And absolutely, again, we love getting emails. We love getting Facebook messages. We love getting your comments, your thoughts, because we love what we do, but it's nice to know that what we're doing is working. And here is from Dave. He said, my wife and I shared the Celebrate Your Marriage weekend at Grand this past weekend and loved it. It was very well put together, and it was some wonderful bonding time with my wife and I. The food was fabulous too, of course. This is something her and I will plan on attending every May and have booked already for next year. After getting home, we shared with our family all about how much fun we had and that my sister and brother-in-law are coming with us next May. Can't wait for the couple photos to be posted. We are going to glue our marble. We gave them a marble, had a story attached to it to remember. We're going to glue our marble on our frame for remembrance of this weekend. Thank you for sharing this weekend with me and my best friend. And that was from Dave. A lot of times we just get emails from ladies, but I do think, gentlemen, we need to hear from you too. And we'd love to hear from our listeners.
Well, and we do love to give couples opportunities to get away and get ahead, just like we were talking about, making time for their marriage. And Dave and his wife did, joining us at Grand Hotel. And so we appreciate, Dave, you giving us a shout out. And we do love to hear from you. If you have comments, if you have questions, we would love to answer your questions about marriage, family, relationships. And you can send those to us at podcast@jandlaura.com. Podcast@jandlaura.com. We'd love to hear your comments, and we would love to answer questions for you. But today we're talking about making sure you have time in your marriage this holiday season. Making time for your marriage during this holiday season is what we want to talk about on today's podcast. And we can't beat that drum enough that getting away and getting ahead is good for your marriage all year long, but especially during this holiday season. And again, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to go away overnight, even if you just spend a day together. I know my sister and brother-in-law take a day off in December to go do their Christmas shopping together, but they don't take kids with them. It's just their day. They go and have breakfast and shop and have lunch and shop and dinner. And, so that's a day for them to get away that obviously has a purpose for the holiday. But making that time for your marriage is important, that you're investing in your marriage this holiday season.
So the question is, why is it important to make time for your marriage during the Christmas season, especially during the Christmas season? And obviously it's important for many reasons, but the bottom line is it keeps you on the same page. During the hectic, during the stressful, during the, oh my goodness, Uncle Harry did it again times of year. And again, we're beating this drum. It's important. Get away and get ahead. Get away and get ahead. Like I said, we just practiced this in Chicago, and it does wonders for your marriage. You fall in love a little bit all over again. You have memories that you can make all over again, and that's super important.
And we just really want to encourage you to figure out how you can spend some time together that doesn't involve the kids, that doesn't involve, maybe if you're on a tight budget, that you don't have to go away overnight, but that you're taking some time for each other during this holiday season. Maybe you just put the kids to bed at night and you sit down and look at the Christmas tree with a hot cup of coffee or hot chocolate and just, light a fire and just sit and talk about Christmases past or whatever it might be. But making sure that you have that time together as a couple without all the other trappings of Christmas. Is that the word? Trappings?
Well, what it does is it really emphasizes your priorities. When you invest time in your marriage during the Christmas season, it shows that you're invested in your marriage, that you're really committed to your marriage, that marriage is more important than Aunt Sally's, fruitcake, and marriage is more important than, some of the other silly things.
More important than the kids.
Yes.
A lot of times, especially as moms, we get, in this holiday season, we just want our children's Christmas to be perfect. And we focus so much on that perfect gift for that particular child. And if you have 5 children, then that's multiplied times 5. And you forget about your husband during this holiday season. And so really focusing on each other during this holiday season, making that time.
Right. And if you want the season to go smoothly, which I think that would be a duh. Yeah, we want this season to go smoothly. Then investing in your marriage is one of the prime things you can do, because you get on the same page. You can talk to each other without yelling and screaming because, your mother is such a whatever. And I'm not talking about ours in particular there, but you know what I'm saying? We get so stressed because your mom always does this or your dad never does that. And when we're investing in time, and it is time, T-I-M-E, time, when we invest time in our marriage during the holiday season, it only magnifies itself as something better.
And it gives you a great holiday season for your marriage.
There you go.
Hey, we're just going to take a little break here, and something we'd really like to encourage you to think about, to investigate, and it would be a great thing to do with your kids this holiday season, but also all year long, is to check out an organization that Jay and I are very, very passionate about and have been involved with for over 20 years. It's an organization called Compassion International. Compassion International is a child sponsorship organization that their mission is to release children from poverty in Jesus' name. What better thing could you do with your kids this Christmas than to invest in a child halfway around the world? And it really will give your children a world view.
Think about that. What better gift could you give anyone than to give the gift of hope? And that's what you give when you sponsor a child. And what it teaches your kids is that generosity is not just a thought, it's a lifestyle. Because when you sponsor a child with compassion, you are the only family that child is connected to. So you are the sole sponsor of that child, which is cool because that child writes you letters and you write them back and you literally grow up with them and your kids grow up with them. Great way to teach your kids all about what it means to be a worldview Christian. You can find out more about Compassion International, and you could also sponsor a child by visiting compassion.com/Jay and Laura. That's compassion.com/Jay and Laura.
Hi, everyone. This is Paul Thomas, Director of Live Events here at Celebrate Ministries. Christmas is just under 2 weeks away, and we want to make you aware of some great gift ideas that we have for you and your spouse. We've got several events in 2019 that would make excellent gifts, like our Celebrate Your Marriage conferences at Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island, and those take place in May or October. And then our marriage cruise in either January or July, where you can sail to the Caribbean or Alaska. We've also got a great conference at Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island to celebrate the special relationship between mothers and daughters, and that takes place in June. If you want to find out more about these events, if you want to buy tickets to these events, check out our show notes or visit jayandlaura.com. Now, Jay and Laura are talking about compassion in this month's podcast, and we want to encourage you to consider sponsoring a child through Compassion this Christmas. We sponsor Compassion Children as a family. It makes a great experience that the entire family or you as a couple can enjoy as you build a relationship with your sponsored child. Now, for the month of December, if you visit compassion.com/Jay and Laura, and if you sponsor a child, as our way of thanking you, we will send you a copy of Laura's book, It's All About the Shoes. Now, sponsoring children from Compassion has been a blessing to all of us on the Celebrate Ministries staff, and we know it will be a blessing to you as you help release children from poverty in Jesus' name as a couple or as a family. Now, you can find out more about Compassion by checking the link in our show notes. Now, Jay and Laura will be back on the road this winter as the ultimate date night He Said, She Said tour kicks off, and you can get tickets to an event near you by visiting our website at jayandlaura.com. Finally, we hope that you enjoy this podcast. We hope you enjoy all the resources that Jay and Laura provide. Here at Celebrate Ministries, we are all about helping people create Christ-centered relationships that are filled with fun, significance, and growth, and ones that last a lifetime. If you're interested in joining us to help couples in their marriages, would you consider making a donation this holiday season? You can visit jayandlaura.com for more information about how you can donate to Celebrate Ministries. Now, let's get back to Jay and Laura.
So the question is, how do we make time for our marriage during this holiday season? And the answer is very simply, take 15 minutes a day of uninterrupted conversation with your spouse. You heard me right. 15 whole minutes. That's half of a sitcom or a quarter of an hour-long television show. But 15 minutes a day of uninterrupted conversation. Now, why is this so important? It's important because, gentlemen, this is how your wife processes. And right now, during Christmas season, her brain is processing a gajillion things. And so this gets her able to process that stuff out of her head and a little more organized and a little more sane. Not calling your wife insane, but mine is. Anyway, 15 minutes of daily conversation. And then during that time, you need to make a plan of how you're going to do this every day. Is it going to be at 7 in the morning? Is it going to be at 7 at night? Is it going to be when? And put it on the calendar.
This 15 minutes will help you manage the expectations that we've talked about in a previous podcast. It will help you talk about what are we going to do and what are we not going to do this holiday season. It's also a great time for you to process. Maybe last night you had a family get together and there was a lot of stuff going on. So taking this 15 minutes the next day to have to process some of that stuff that we need to get out and talk about. Because when you don't get it out and talk about it, then it festers and it stays in there, and you start creating things that didn't happen. And so...
Well, and put it on the calendar. That's the most important thing. You know what I did this morning? I scheduled an oil change for our car. And guess what I did? I put it on the calendar so I wouldn't forget. And that sounds, I'm not talking down to you, but so many people refuse to put that time. This is my time with my spouse, and it's guarded, and you guard it viciously.
And we are talking about making time for your marriage during this holiday season. So putting that 15 minutes, looking at your week and saying, okay, we can do it Tuesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, but it's going to have to be Thursday evening. Putting those 15 minutes on the calendar, but also putting maybe a date night on the calendar, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 during this holiday season. That's just the two of you, no children, no family. And like Jay said, guarding it viciously. If you have to put a big red circle around it, or if you're on the Google Calendar and you need to send yourself a reminder that, you know what, 2 days from now, we're going on a date, so that you can think about it and that you can plan for it, but guard it. Don't let anything get in the way of those times, because this is what's going to help you manage those expectations, have a great holiday season, and then you'll be making this a habit. If you start that this year, then it'll be easier next year to say, you know what? Thanksgiving weekend, we're going to sit down and plan out our whole holiday season so we're ready for it. We're going to attack it, and we're going to make it a great time for our family and for our marriage.
And the most important thing as you're making time and going on dates and spending this 15 minutes is to realize that you do have a budget. You know, we're not all made out of money, and so you need a budget. You know, okay, honey, we're going to do a $1, red box, but we're gonna go on a date, and it can be very cheap. You might even get a bag of popcorn from CVS or something. Who knows? But
you go to Trader Joe's and buy a $3 bottle of wine.
There you go. Yeah. So the reality is, you got to stay in the budget, but you've got to make time for each other during the holidays. And here's the beautiful part: if you can do that during this busy season, why then wouldn't you continue to do that during the normal days of life where, it's not as hectic, but building in this habit of A, 15 minutes a day, and B, dating each other? That's only going to help your marriage grow. And gentlemen, I don't need to remind you what happens when you romance and date your wife, okay? Yeah, I hope I don't need to remind you, but when you romance and date your wife, it makes her feel special. And when she feels special, well, by golly, she wants to make her man feel special. And yes, I always bring it back to that, but bottom line, we met are pretty simple. If I'm not asking you for a sandwich, Laura, then yes, I'm in the mood.
Yes, I've been told that many times. I'm making a lot of sandwiches, though. But really what we want is for you all to enjoy this holiday season with your family, with your children, with your extended family. And to do that, we need to take care of our marriage relationship first. Because if you two aren't on the same page and you're not managing those expectations and you're not taking time to get away and get ahead, even though it may just be for a couple hours, it's not going to be a fun holiday season. So make time this holiday season for your marriage. Hey, thanks for listening today. And if you would be so kind as to rate us, to share our podcast, give us comments, send your comments to podcast@jayandlaura.com. We would love to hear from you. We are Jay and Laura LaFoon, and we are here to help busy couples stay happily married for life.